Let's bring in our good friend Dan Graziano, who covers the Giants for us. And he was in Canton yesterday. He's with the Giants today, and he joins us right now on the Michael K. Show. Dan, it's Michael and Don. How are you?
I'm good, guys. How are you?
Good. The quotes that David Wilson gave out, I thought they were very measured and very mature for a young man whose career might be over. What was your take on it?
I kind of expected that when we heard from David, he'd be upbeat and optimistic and hopeful, but obviously the quotes that are put out today show that he's pretty far down the road on this in terms of coming to grips with it, and that's for the best. I mean, he's obviously got bigger things to worry about than football right now, and that's the news of today. But, it's a shame. He's 23 years old. You never like to see a career end that early, and but it does sound like everyone's on the same page in terms of his health and life being more important.
Now, Dan, when a player is cleared to play, and in one of the first plays he's involved in, he runs into his own offensive lineman and gets hurt to the point where he's not going to play again for this season. Is it just how fragile the situation is, or do we have to wonder why the doctors cleared him in the first place?
It's a re-injury, but it adds to the issue. He has spinal stenosis. He had spinal fusion surgery. Now there's another neck injury. It's just to the point now where this was kind of like a last straw, I think, where they just said, look, there's too much going on here with this neck, and having re-aggravated it just now, it makes it that much worse and that much more potentially significant if you keep playing.
Have they told him, okay, you're out for this season, or have they told him you should never play again?
He's on injured reserve. He's out for the season, but the team's official release says he's been advised not to play football anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the official announcement they made about a half hour ago, and you said the quotes from Wilson reflect that. It seems like he's come to grips with it. So I'm sure he'll have some low moments, but again, it's for the best in terms of his long-term health.
Now, do they leave it up to him and hey, if you want to try, you could get really seriously injured, or will no team clear him to play?
Well, theoretically, and I have no idea if this could happen, but theoretically he could say, hey, I want to try and play, and then they could reach an injury settlement and release him and say best of luck to you if a team wants to try. But it doesn't seem like the Giants would be the team to clear him to play. And actually, given all this medical advice that we're now privy to, it's hard to imagine any team would.
When I was out there on Thursday, Dan, everyone, Jerry Reese, Tom Coughlin, talked about the insurance of wondering if he'd be able to come back. That's why they had so much depth there in the first place. So you wonder how surprising is the news about just this year, not the long term, but what percentage do you think they put on him being a viable option for them this season?
They always thought it was going to be a bonus. That's why they did so much work at running back. They were happy to have him if he could do it, but they were never, ever counting on him. And obviously, all they needed was one more reason to say no, because, again, this is a young man's health and life that they're talking about, and there's really no reason to take even any percent chance.
Okay, so their running game looked pretty good yesterday. The passing game looked a little pedestrian. They almost had to call a timeout the first play of the game with their new offense. So you were there. What was the overview?
The work in progress. A lot of the offense still being installed. It's the first time they've had it in game conditions where Ben McAdoo's calling plays, something he had never done in his life until that play. So it's good that they had the extra preseason game, and they've really only had 9 training camp practices prior to that game. So the offense is a work in progress. The question about the Giants' offense is, can they get it to the point where it's fully functional by week 1, or is it going to continue to be a work in progress throughout the season?
I think the only thing that really bothered me, because I'm not going to get crazy about the first of 5 preseason games, but Eli's got to protect that ball. We talk so much about interceptions, Dan, during the course of the year, but he also has to do a better job of holding the ball if he gets hit.
He does, and he said as much after the game. Eli pointed out that even once they go to full contact practices, the quarterbacks don't have it. They're not allowed to get near the quarterback in practice. So this is his first time where anyone's coming at him, period, since week 17 of last year. So he totally took the blame, said, I got to hold on to the ball better, but he seemed to indicate that that's the kind of thing that just maybe was rust, and he'll obviously the kind of games count. He'll be better at that. That was his explanation.
We are talking with the guy who covers the Giants for us, Dan Graziano. How do you think the defense looked?
Pretty good. I mean, defensive tackle Hankins I think was good. The cornerbacks Rogers Cromartie and Amukamara both looked good to me. They had guys jumping up and down, batting E.J. Manuel passes out of the air near the line of scrimmage. So, they were feisty. Demontre Moore had a sack and should have had 2. That's encouraging. If he can make a big leap this year, that would be huge for their pass rush. Didn't see anything out of Pierre-Paul, but there's time. But I think their defense has a chance to be pretty good.
Is it wrong to think that maybe the strength of this defense could be their secondary? No,
I think that's how it's built. I think that's where they've heavily invested, and they need a better pass rush. They only had 33 sacks last year, and the guy who had 11 of them is gone, Justin Tuck. But they did beef up in the secondary, and I think that's the strongest position unit on the team, not just the defense. I think in terms of depth and quality of depth.
Dan, great stuff as always. We thank you for popping on with us.
All right, take care, guys.